Total Extreme Wrestling. My name is Brendan Plays. This is our All Elite Wrestling save. Today is Full Gear. We have been waiting for this show for a while. We've been planning and booking, and it's finally here. This is going to be a big one. We've got the show already booked, ready to go. Lots of big stuff happening on this one. I'm very excited for it. And we don't get a lot of pay-per-views. So this is the thing, we have to really make the most of the ones that we do get. So for this one, we are looking to open it up a little bit. So we have found an arena in the southeast that will hold 1,000 people. So we've decided to at least allow 1,000. Usually we just do 500, but this is a pay-per-view. So the Venice Community Center is the host of this event here tonight. 1,000 people can be in, so we're hoping that we can fill that surely, right? We're expected to get 13,500, which every time I see that makes me cry a little bit inside, because that would be the fix for all our financial concerns. But okay, Full Gear is booked. Let's go ahead and check out the results. Big pre-show, big lineup to start, as we got the Inner Circle cutting a promo on SCU to get things underway, calling them overrated and has-beens. We had both Jericho and Guevara on the mic in this segment. Usually we have Jericho, but this time we're starting to really incorporate Guevara on the mic and trying to develop his skills there. 79 rated, good start to the pre-show. Will Hobbs took on Ricky Starks for a 45 rated match. Will Hobbs 40, Ricky Starks 42. Will Hobbs off his game in this one, so this could have been a little bit better between these two. Will Hobbs did pick up the win. So the reason why this wasn't on the main show, usually a match like this, we've been building to it for a while. I would have loved to have it on the main card, but two guys with pretty low popularity, if they're on the main show, it's going to get poorly rated, so we have to be a little bit smarter about how we go about using lower card guys. And unfortunately, they have to be in the pre-show, but luckily in TEW2020, being on the pre-show, you still get a bit of benefit. It's not, a waste of time, so you still get a bit of use and a bit of improvement out of those guys. Speaking of pre-show, Private Party and Butcher and Blade, bit of a similar situation in terms of why they're on the pre-show, but their match here was a 43 rated. Mark Quinn 42, Isaiah Cassidy 46, Blade 35, Butcher 30. So we gave the win actually to the Butcher and the Blade. Bit of a surprise, I know. Usually we go with the Private Party with the wins here, but I figured Private Party have won majority of the feud, so good to give the Butcher and Blade some sort of win, even though they don't really score all that well. But we figured we'd give them a shot, we'd give them some sort of win out of this one, so they pick up the win. Evil East took on Hikaru Shida for a 49 rated match. Wow. Shida 48, Evil East 40. Great match. This is one of our best women's matches to date, if not, maybe I think we've had a 50, but very, very close. Evil East, we definitely see big things in her as being one of the best women in the division. Obviously, Thunder Rose is another one we're really looking at. But great to see Hikaru Shida involved in another great match. She's no longer the champion, but this is what we wanted her to do. We wanted her to be someone to work with the other women in the division, have great matches, and hopefully build each other up. Not sure if this will, but it's a strong match, and Shida did pick up the win. First match of the main card was the Inner Circle taking on SCU. 77 rated match. Wow. So I was not expecting this sort of rating. I thought maybe low 70s, maybe 71, 70. But to get 77, that is a huge bonus for us. That's a bit of a steal, I would say. Guevara, 68. Jericho, 85. Kazarian was pretty good, 51. And Daniels, 56. That's probably a little bit better than I expected out of those two. Of course, the Inner Circle did pick up the win to make it their third title defense. Good to see Jericho, 85. He's starting to really get those performances back where they need to be. 77, can't complain with that. For this feud, it really was just meant to be kind of a fill-in-the-blank sort of situation whilst we wait for either Young Bucks or FTR to become available. Now, of course, we've got the Hardy Boys coming in, so some big potential feuds coming up for the Inner Circle. And the SCU was really just designed to be a team to kind of fill in the gaps a little bit, have a nice little match, hopefully, and they really did. This turned out to be a really good feud, I think. I liked what we had, and both teams, I think, gained a little bit out of it, so good stuff. Eddie Kingston cut a promo with Phoenix and Penta, 58, so pretty good promo from Kingston. Did lower the storyline heat though, so the storyline heat must be pretty high for a 58 to lower it, so I mean, that's good, obviously, but yeah, so pretty good stuff from Eddie. And of course, we had the family, which was Kingston, Penta, and Phoenix taking on the Nightmare family, Pillman Jr., Dustin Rhodes, and QT Marshall. So Brian Pillman Jr. has been mentored by the Nightmare family as of late, so he's teaming up with them, and of course, they didn't win. The family, Eddie Kingston's family, they picked up the win in a 59 rated match. Now that is much better than I expected. Kingston, 56, that is good. Penta, 62, Phoenix best in the match, 66. QT, 35, Dustin was good, 48. Pillman Jr., bit of a surprise, 38, that is impressive. So, not too bad, but obviously it was the right call, give Kingston's family the win. So now that they're doing really well, we mentioned a moment ago, all these great tag teams, I forgot about the Lucha Bros. They potentially could have a feud with the Young Bucks, FTR, maybe SCU, something there for, this team to really do, because they are performing really, really well. We've got to start using them in a higher role, and this has been a good mid-card feud, and I've enjoyed what we've had, but I think it's time to probably move these two teams along. Brit Baker had a 50 rated match with Chris Statlander. That is good. Statlander 49, Baker 41. I am very impressed with Chris Statlander there. That is a huge performance from her. 49, that is great. Britt Baker, though, she did defend her Women's Championship, her second title defense, thanks to the interference of Awesome Kong. So Awesome Kong now aligning herself with Britt Baker. Let's get the next segment. And Awesome Kong beat down Chris Statlander for her new associate, Britt Baker, post-match. So they pretty much made it official that those two were working together. They're in cahoots. So Awesome Kong will be the muscle for Britt Baker, making her nearly untouchable as champion. Let's be real. No one else, maybe other than Nyla Rose, can really kind of match up with Awesome Kong. So huge advantage there for Britt Baker. She's got someone to protect her at all times, which is a huge plus. And for someone who talks a lot of trash, she needs it. Sting was backstage with Alex Marvez, giving Alex the best segment he'll ever have. Sting cut a promo and said he will be ringside for tonight's main event match to make sure that no interferences take place. So MJF and Jon Moxley will have Sting ringside to make sure things go smooth. 79. So another good promo from the Stinger, which is good signs. And this, of course, is his first pay-per-view appearance here tonight. Cody Rhodes was with Dasha Gonzalez, and Brandy Rhodes was also involved, kind of standing by her man. 80 rated promo as he was speaking about the game plan for his match against Miro coming up next. Well, that definitely gained storyline heat because the storyline's been pretty low between these two. I'm hoping we can see some sort of good match out of these two. I'm a little bit worried. This feud has been really up and down. We've had some great moments. We've had some lousy ones. So hopefully the match will deliver. Let's take a look. 63. You're kidding. This match bombed. They don't have chemistry at all. Cody couldn't even carry it. He had 64, Miro 55, 63 match. Miro, he did win the match. He is the new TNT champion. I went with it. I wasn't sure to do it or not, but I figured, look, I've got a big match planned for Cody coming up next. So I figured, okay, let's get Cody away from Miro and the TNT title. Let's get him back in the main event picture. And let's bring the TNT title back down a little bit without going too far down the card. So Miro, I think he'll be a good champion, but he just hasn't quite delivered as good as we would have liked. So I'm hoping when he gets the championship, that will help him. So we'll see. Post-match, Pac is back. So Pac is back. He confronted Miro and he brawled. Pac hit Miro with the TNT title in the end, and he posed with it. So Pac will probably be the first guy that feuds with Miro for the championship. So we get Pac back in the mix, feuding with Miro. I wanted to find a good, important role for Pac to come back and do, and I figured him feuding with the TNT title gets him straight back in the mix. And if it wasn't going to be aligning himself back with Eddie Kingston and doing something there, I figured he's got to be involved in some championship picture. And I didn't want him losing the world title match just yet, so I figured he and Miro, if Miro doesn't deliver as TNT champion, I can switch it to Pac. And I'm very confident Pac will have amazing matches week after week after week for that championship. So we could do something similar where Pac is so confident as the champion, he wants to defend it all the time, and he could do that sort of run as the champion. But I'll give Miro a chance. He's not going to be a transitional champion just yet, but if he doesn't deliver, then that's possibly what could happen. But nonetheless, 63 for that segment. So Pac, finally back. I've been waiting to use him since the start of the series, so it's good to finally be able to, get Pac in the ring. Matt Hardy cut a promo saying that he was proud of Will Hobbs beating Ricky Starks. Now, it is his turn to beat Brian Cage. So, one last promo, another great one from Hardy to build up for his match with Brian Cage, which I think is going to be a really strong match in the end. I wasn't sure if it would deliver, but we've had a couple of good promos from Hardy to get the storyline heat up there. So, let's see if the match can deliver. 66. Okay. Brian Cage. Wow. 62 from Brian Cage. That is a heck of a performance. Matt Hardy, 59. Ricky Starks, there's that name. He interfered and he helped Brian Cage pick up the win over Hardy. This one was a wild brawl, which is probably why Brian did perform so well, and maybe why Matt Hardy did not go as good. He was off his game. But a 66 match, I still feel that's a real good match between these two. For where they're both at popularity-wise, I think that's a strong match. We gave Cage the win, so this could be huge implications for his popularity. I see big things in Brian Cage, whereas Matt Hardy, in the last couple of weeks, he's been good, and obviously Jeff Hardy's coming, so they're going to have a big role to play, but I felt it was the right time to put Brian Cage over here, try and boost him up, and try and get him in the 50 popularity mark, whereas Matt Hardy, I feel like he can recover when Jeff comes back, because I know he's going to be doing some big things there. Post-match, Brian Cage with Ricky Starks basically standing over the top of Matt Hardy. Taz was there as well, and he said that look, we're putting the whole locker room on notice, and they're just getting started. So, Team Taz just getting started. 64 rated for that segment. Another good one there. Ricky Starks involved, hoping that maybe he can get a bit of a boost out of it as well. So that's a pretty good night for Team Taz. Cage was good. Starks looked good. I'm a little worried that maybe we overused Ricky Starks a little bit, but I think we should be okay, hopefully. 64 in the end. FTR took on the Young Bucks next, and finally we had the match that we wanted to have originally. This is why we had to do a rematch, because the first one sucked. This is better. This is much better. And we gave the Young Bucks the win over FTR. Now, it pains me to do that because I'm a big FTR fan, not a big fan of the Young Bucks, but look, if the Inner Circle is the tag team champions, well, it makes sense, right? It makes sense for the Young Bucks to feud with the Inner Circle next. And as we know, the Hardy Boys are coming. I think a pretty good first opponent for the Hardy Boys might be FTR, a legendary team coming back. I think someone like FTR is going to want to beat them to have that feather in the cap, so I felt maybe that might be the way to go there. Cash, 67. Dax, 66. Nick, 80. Matt, 79. So, with Inner Circle performing as well as they did early on, quite honestly, if the Young Bucks and Inner Circle match up together, that could be the match of the year for us. That could be 85 match. It could be maybe even 90 if we have enough storyline hit. I don't know, but it could be really, really good. So, Young Bucks pick up the win in about a 20-minute match, 79 rated match. Excellent stuff. Kenny Omega's backstage with, wow, Kenny did better with Alex Marvez than Sting did. Well, there you go. I'm sorry, Alex, you are capable of doing better. Kenny Omega said that the old Kenny returns tonight, and he's going to prove that he's the best bout machine against Adam Page. So, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, just fingers crossed, this is a good one. This is going to be one of our most anticipated matches on the card. I believe we're going for a steal the show. So this could be either really good or really bad. 80 rated for Kenny versus Adam Page. So far, the best match on the card. 20-minute match. Kenny, 82. Adam Page, 68. Kenny Omega picked up the win over Adam Page. So Kenny Omega is quickly becoming one of our most popular superstars on the roster. You know, he is a superstar. He is one of our biggest stars. 70 plus pop, only Moxley and Jericho have got more than him, so you've got to preserve that. You've got to keep him going. Adam Page is not far away. You know, he's got nearly mid-60s, so he's right there alongside maybe MJF and Cody. So he's right there in the mix, but just felt as though it was the right time to give Kenny the win here. So, you know, depending on what happens in the main event, if MJF wins, you know, obviously Adam Page might be a good opponent, or maybe even still Kenny Omega. But maybe if Moxley gets the title back, maybe Omega and Moxley could have that match as well. So a few interesting scenarios that could take place there, but nonetheless, Kenny getting a big win as well. It was a steal of the show, so at 80 rated, I felt as though steal of the show probably did benefit this match. Post-match, Adam Page extended his hand for a handshake. Instead, Kenny Omega slapped him right in the face and walked away. So Kenny Omega still disrespecting Adam Page despite the fact they had a good competitive match. Kenny Omega just has no respect for Adam Page anymore, or the Elite for that matter. He's just no care for the Elite anymore. So maybe the Elite has to do something about it. So a big win for Kenny in a 74 rated segment as well. I believe it's time for our main event. So let's get into the last segments here. Before we get there, Lance Archer had a quick brawl with Orange Cassidy for 59. Lance 60, Cassidy 55. We gave Cassidy a big bump in this match. I figured he'd have to take a big bump by Lance. We gave Lance the win. Orange Cassidy, you know, he fought hard. We had Trent and Chuck Taylor both do a run in and attack Lance, but still it was not enough. Lance was just too much of a beast. He just overcame 3-on-1 to survive and defeat Orange Cassidy there. I've actually quite enjoyed this feud. This has been a nice, fun one. Lance Archer kind of ripping through the best friends here. Cassidy tried to fight it, couldn't do it. Post-match, yeah, okay, didn't quite deliver. But the best friends, they fended off a Lance Archer beatdown as Lance tried to attack Cassidy further after the match. A 3-on-1, and they managed to get Lance Archer out of there. So kind of regaining their heat a little bit. They've had a few, you know, tough weeks. They've been beaten down week after week after week. So this is them kind of getting their heat back a little bit, having their chance to stand tall in the ring. They got the one up a little bit on the heel without making the heel look bad. In the 3-on-1, yeah, okay, Lance, fair enough that you couldn't get the upper hand here, but still, Lance looks like a badass trying to fend off and fight three guys, best friends. You know, they were able to finally get their hands on Lance. So at 45, didn't quite execute so well from the fans' side of things, but storyline-wise, I thought that was a nice little way to wrap things up there. And the main event was Jon Moxley and MJF inside a cage. And it only got 70 rated. Okay, MJF actually performed 72. Moxley 72, and he was really off his game. So that's kind of where we went wrong. Moxley, if he was on his game, I feel as though he's performing at high 70s and maybe getting this match towards the mid 70 mark, but instead 72 from both guys. That's great from MJF, but Moxley not so great. Speaking of Moxley though, he won the World Championship back from MJF. The finish though, this is where it gets a little interesting. So the referee takes a bump in the cage, and no one has the key for the cage other than Sting. So there's no referee. Moxley's got MJF beat. Sting opens up the cage, he gets in there, and he counts the 1, 2, 3. So Sting acts as the replacement referee, technically screwing over MJF in a way. MJF's plan was to knock out the ref so he couldn't be beaten by Mox. Well, that's not going to work. Sting got in there and he counted the 1, 2, 3, helping Moxley win back the championship. So this gives us a bit of an out for this feud. It gives MJF a reason to complain, hey, I lost my title because of Sting. And it gives us a way to kind of set up maybe MJF and Sting. Like I said, probably not a match, but maybe Sting finding someone to represent him and maybe opening up a feud there going forward. And as we said, you know, look, maybe Sting takes Darby Allin under his wing. You You know, we've been looking for something for Darby to do. That might be a way to elevate Darby Allin. I don't know, but at least gives us something to move on with. But obviously, 70 rated match. Considering it was a very strong match last time we had it, it's very disappointing. This main event was a bit of a bomb. It was a bit of a bomb. I know we had 3 other good matches on the card, but the main event had to deliver. And the fact that it didn't, I feel like is going to severely hurt our show. Post-match, Jon Moxley celebrated winning the AEW World Championship for 81. And we actually did something that I never do for any shows. We had a post-show match. Because I figured I'm going to have a lot of people complaining that they didn't get to be on Full Gear. So I figured let's throw them in a 10-man tag, a post-show match. 34 rated. So what usually happens in post-show matches is the workers don't really try, they don't really care. And we actually made this an overbooked match. I figured, you know what, let's have some fun with it. Let's try something different. And it didn't work. It really did not work. Darby Allin was the best in the match, 62. So we had Matt Sydal, Colt Cabana, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy Luchasaurus. They beat the Dark Order, Preston, John Silver, Alan Angels, Alex Reynolds, and Stu Grayson. So 34 rated. Opportunity to get 10 guys on the card, basically. Simple as that. 10 guys on the card that weren't going to be there, and hopefully it keeps them happy. Let's take a look at the final result of the pay-per-view. We had a 76 rated show, and I believe that is our best show to date. I think, if not tied, it could have been better. It could have been 78, I reckon, if that main event had delivered. Considering Paige and Omega was so good, you know, Young Bucks FTR was so good, and even Miro and Cody, that bombed as well. That could have been great, but it wasn't. And the first show of the match, Inner Circle and SCU, was great. So we had some great stuff, and even our mid-card matches were pretty solid. It was a good show. You know what though? I'm a little bit disappointed with Jon Moxley. You know, he could have done better. You know, if he had performed better, I feel like this show would have been great. You know, this would have been a great show. I'll give Kenny Omega some praise, and you know, look, I'm going to say to Miro that he could have done better as well. You know, actually, I'm going to criticize Miro and Moxley for a poor performance. They should have done better. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to talk some crap to them. And hopefully a stern little warning here kicks him at the backside, because this just wasn't good enough. Moxley's not concerned with my speech just yet. Omega's happy, and Miro is not too concerned yet, but I think he should be. Well, we actually had NXT TakeOver War Games and Full Gear on the same night. New Japan had a show too, so let's take a look at War Games. Adam Cole won the NXT Championship from Finn Balor for 86 rated. Both guys performing at 79. Overall, they had a 77 show. Of course they would do one point better than me. Of course they would, just to annoy me. Keith Lee carried Cross for 73. Oh, here we go. This is why. They had Bray Wyatt. Remember how a few weeks ago, you know, Bray Wyatt on NXT, they loaned him out. Yeah, well, he was on this card and he lost to Kushida. Are you kidding me? Kushida beat Bray Wyatt in an 87 rated match. That's just not fair. Bray Wyatt loses to Kushida. I mean, Kushida gained popularity out of it. Of course he did. He just beat Bray Wyatt on a pay-per-view, essentially. There you go. So they had to pull out the big guns to beat us, because nothing else was good other than Keith Lee, Karrion Kross. None of their other matches were good, but they had 2 stellar matches, 5-star classics on their show. So yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Full Gear, we had 225,000 buys, which is not bad, not too bad in the end. As I said, we had 1,000 people show up, 76 rated show. I'm happy with the show, honestly. I think that is a really good effort from us. I don't think we could have asked for much better, other than the main event. But yeah, look, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little disappointed. It's equal best with an episode of Dynamite and Fight for the Fallen. I was hoping to have our best show to date. Close, but not quite there. And I think the main event was the main concern for us. Alan Angel Dorado wants to stay on, so we'll sign him. Layla Hirsch, we're going to bring her in as well, something that I haven't spoken about yet, but there's a new TEW update, so we've had a few new workers enter into our game that we didn't have access to before, one being Layla Hirsch, so we're going to bring her in and see how she goes. And a few other workers. I'm still waiting on Jade Kajel, or whatever her name was, the chick that works with Shaq. I'm still waiting for her to come in, and I don't think Shaq is active in the game yet either, but when they do, I guess I'll bring them in. But yeah, so we had we had Impact. They're adopting a friendly attitude to us as well, so we're also looking to maybe do a bit of a talent trade, or at least a working relationship with Impact Wrestling, just like they are in real life. I'm not sure what the extent of that will be for us. They don't have a lot of the wrestlers that you'd expect from Impact, so there's no one there that will really be that beneficial to us. But obviously, maybe the Machine Guns. I don't even think they have Alex Shelley, so maybe not. I really don't know who would bring in. Eddie Edwards maybe for a match, but yeah. They have Ken Shamrock. I'm not sure if he'd be able to do much. Moose, RVD, Rhino. So, if we were looking to maybe, do some sort of a, specialty show of some sorts, maybe there's a few guys we could bring in there. Or maybe we could do a crossover special, Impact versus AEW one night or something like that. I don't know, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and take a look at any popularity changes. Surely there's got to be a few this time. We'll start with the major stars. Adam Page, still around the 64 mark. Would have hoped it got more out of him there. Nonetheless, Jericho, 85 in the Southeast. That is huge. Cody's dropped now, so he's lost popularity that he's gained. So he was up to 67. Now he's dropped back to 65. So I really hope Miro is worth it. Moxley, he's back to 73 after his win. Kenny Omega, he's basically 70 across the board now. MJF at 64 after the loss, so he hasn't quite gained anything yet. Nick Jackson at 59, so he's close to hitting the 60s, which is good. Sting, no change for him. Brian Cage, this is the big one. He has gained a lot of popularity. 5 points for Brian Cage for beating Matt Hardy. That makes me very, very worried to look at Matt Hardy's and how much did Hardy drop to do it. Okay, so Matt Hardy was at 58. He's dropped back down to 54, 55. I'll take that. Now Brian Cage is a player on our roster, so he's gone up 5 points. That is huge. 5 points to 53 pop now, so he can actually be not maybe a definite upper mid-carder. He's been stuck in that mid-card, but now he's elevated up. So we've got a new guy right here that we can really use, and Team Taz can now be more of a force on this roster. And I'm sure when we get Jeff Hardy, he and Matt will have great matches together. I'm not worried there. Cash Wheeler 58, so no real change for FTR. No loss, which is fine. They didn't lose pop. That's fine. Jake Hager, he's nearly at 60. He's close. Matt Jackson, 59. Miro had the big win, and he's moved up to 62. So he's gained 1 point after beating Cody. He gained a point in a recent episode of Dynamite, plus that point there. So he's actually up to 62 now. Look, I still don't know about Miro. I believe he'll be good. I'm confident he'll be good. But as you can see, his average rating is 57. And himself, he's really only averaging high 60s at best. So I'm hoping he can still deliver. He's now the TNT champion, so a little bit more expectation on the shoulders there. Daniel's no change despite a good pay-per-view match. Darby Allin's gained a point. He's up to 44. He had that recently. I'm not sure why, but that's good to see him improving. So Lance Archer has actually finally gained some momentum. He's finally gained some popularity. He's up to 48 now after beating Orange Cassidy. So he's gained 2 points. Hallelujah. As I said, I really believe Lance is very good. I want to use Lance in a bigger role, but his popularity is holding him down. It's holding him back. Brian Cage has got it now. Not so much Lance, but he's on his way there. 48, that's great. Brody Lee, we haven't really been using him much on TV, so he's actually dropped down from being a star to now, well known. Orange Cassidy had the loss, but he's still, hovering around 47 in the Southeast, which is fine. So he's lost a little bit of popularity to Lance, but that's fine. He can lose some. Pac, he's returned, no change to his popularity as expected. Brit Baker, she's gained popularity, hallelujah. Finally, she's up to 36, so we have gained something out of the women's division. We have been struggling to do anything with it. Finally, we've gotten something out of it, and that is a huge relief. Quite honestly, good little changes there. The big one obviously being Brian Cage. I'm so pleased with that. Brian Cage is now a big part of our roster, and now it's time to kind of refresh, hit the reset button, and start some new storylines. Some things like Butcher and Blade versus Private Party, that's finished. Cody and Miro, that's pretty much finished now. We're going to transition that over to Miro and Pac. FTR and the Young Bucks, I think we can pretty much call it a day with this one as well. We can start going their separate ways in this feud, but we'll just leave it there for now. Sheeta and Ivelisse, it was only going to be a quick one, so we'll end that one. Inner Circle and SCU, that's finished. Omega and Page, I think there's still more to explore there, so we won't end that one yet. Hardy and Cage, what I think we might do is we might have Jeff Hardy come back, and we might do Team Taz versus the Hardy Boys, and then kind of break away from there after that, and have the Hardy Boys kind of go on a bit of a tag team run. So I feel like that's a natural way. Matt Hardy maybe getting beaten down 2-on-1. Jeff Hardy's music hits and he saves his brother. That to me would be a special moment. So that would be pretty cool. Moxley and MJF, that's pretty much finished. We'll now transition that over to MJF and Sting, doing something there. Moxley will need to find a new opponent. That's going to be the tricky one. Nightmare Family and Eddie Kingston's family, that's finished up as well. Cassie and Archer, I think we've done everything we can with that one. And Starks and Hobbs, this was a pretty good feud in the end. I enjoyed it. We actually got a little bit out of it for Ricky, not so much for Will, but I think it's time to do something a little bit different there as well and freshen up. So Britt Baker and Chris Statlander is probably finished up as well. Maybe we could do Awesome Kong and Statlander though, at least for a little bit. So we might add Awesome Kong to that storyline, and she can be there with Britt. So some good stuff there. So when we come back on our next episode, we'll establish some new storylines. We'll have some new cool things that we're going to be doing. Let's take a look and see if we had any changes to our size. No, we're still at 67. Financially, at the moment, things are looking on the up. 270,000 pay-per-view revenue. That's on par with what we did back in June, July, which is positive. I still don't think it's going to save us from a bad month, but I feel like we're going to lose a little bit less than in previous times. So I'm feeling a little bit better about that at least. And hopefully we can start selling a little bit more merchandise. I wonder now that we've got Sting on contract, how his merchandise is selling. Okay, so he's our 10th best merchandise seller. I wonder if he was considered to be a wrestler, would that do better? I wonder. But anyways, so Jericho's still at the top. Moxley, Cody, Kenny. That's not too bad. So I expect to see a few changes from that pretty soon. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with Full Gear. Pretty successful. Big things to come. Jeff Hardy, not too far away. Lots of new storylines. Hope you guys will stick with us and join me for the next episode of All Elite Wrestling for our 2020 save. Not too far away from ending 2020 and starting 2021, and also catching up to the real life product as well, which would be handy to do and try and overtake them. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.